The Black Death, also known as the Black Plague, was a devastating bacterial plague that thrived in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East between the 13th and 17th century. There are two popular theories on how the Black Plague spread from Asia to Europe. The first one is going via the Silk Road. At the time, there was a trade network between Asia and Europe and the West. And along this trade network, the rats and fleas would be transmitted from trader to trader and eventually ended up in the West. Another theory is that Mongolians from East Asia came across to Moscow and were attacking a city inhabited by Genosian traders. They sieged the city, and the Mongols catapulted the dead soldiers over the walls of the city that the Genosians were in. And in doing so, the dead that they catapulted over were covered in the plague. It then spread to the Genosians, who, after fleeing the city, went to Europe and Constantinople, and that's how it spread from there. The plague spread from Asia to Europe to England. At this point, it was defined as a pandemic rather than epidemic, which means it affected more than 2 continents. The plague killed somewhere between 75 to 200 million people throughout Eurasia, but it is hard to determine due to death records not being accurate at the time. In general, it's believed that 20% of the population of Germany and England was killed by the plague. In most of Europe, it was considered that 50% of people were killed, and then in the Middle East is believed to be about a third of the population. If you wish to know more about the Black Plague and the Black Death, check out the following websites. The first 2 are about the Black Plague itself, and the third is about comparing the plague versus the Ebola crisis. The final link is to a game called Plague Incorporated. It's basically a game that lets you create your own plague and release it around the world. It then shows the spread of the disease and how far and how quickly you can wipe out the population of the Earth. Thank you for listening and watching my talk on the Black Plague.